Not much. I actually woke up at like 10, which is very, very late for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
So,
I woke up pretty. I get up pretty early usually.
yeah, me too. Oh, can you turn that light back on? Thanks.
All right. I think we are. I think we're live.
Great.
Awesome. Okay. Hello, folks, and welcome to Movie Mood. I'm your host, Alex Van Horn.
I'm John Alberto.
So let's play the theme song. You know. Welcome. Today is a special day because we are doing a live stream as well as recording it, which is our first time doing it, so it might be a little shaky. But we are talking spy movies today.
Yeah. So, in honor of the late great Sean Connery, we were thinking about what to talk about. We thought about James Bond, and then we started talking a little bit more, and we found there are a lot of great spy franchises out there.
For sure. And James Bond definitely kicked it off, and certainly there's something to say about Hitchcock movies as well. But yeah, I mean, it definitely made me go back and start watching the James Bond movies again, the Sean Connerys, and yeah, and some of the other James spy movies that he's done. And there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of great franchises out there now. You've got Jason Bourne, Jack Ryan, of course, Spy Kids.
Spy Kids.
Yep.
Spy Kids 2.
Island
Spy
of
Kids
Lost
3D.
Dreams. Yep.
Spy Kids 4D. Spy Kids and Shark Girl or Lava Girl.
Lava Girl in 3D.
Yep.
Yep.
That's a good one. Yeah. So yeah, I guess we could start with James Bond and kind of go from there, because Sean Connery kind of dips his foot into other franchises as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So tell me about the ones that you revisited recently to prepare for this.
So I rewatched the first three James Bonds with Sean Connery, Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger. And I have to say, watching them, I watched From Russia with Love, Dr. No, and Goldfinger. I was really impressed by Goldfinger. It's really, because I think From Russia with Love is maybe, it's up there as one of the best Sean Connery James Bonds, but it's not like a James Bond movie.
Yeah, I think Goldfinger kind of set the standard for what James Bond movies were, pretty much from Goldfinger onward through the Pierce Brosnan era, I would say. Yeah,
For sure. With your, your bad guy who gives you all the information, and the femme fatales, the pussy galores, and yeah, and I was just impressed by like the script for Goldfinger. Like it's pretty like consistently. There's always something happening. Like
yeah, It's
yeah,
it's very tight knit,
mm-hmm.
and it is incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
I think probably if I actually revisit James Bond pretty frequently, and I think if I were looking at my favorite, what I would quote as a James Bond movie, Goldfinger would be right up there. It's
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's
quintessential.
for sure.
And you've got Odd Job, and he kind of like created that line of villains that we come into with Roger Moore, with Jaws. It's a character named Jaws who bites people.
Yep.
And yeah, plenty of others. Austin Powers, of course, takes plenty from Goldfinger. Yeah, I was just impressed by like, because a lot of the Sean Connerys, there are a lot of parts that have really long moments where nothing's really happening. Like there's bad guys like preparing, or he's kind of like hanging out at a certain place, hanging out at his hotel or whatever in Dr. No, and nothing's really happening. But in Goldfinger, there's always something happening.
Yeah, and I think And I think a lot of that has to do with, in the first two movies, he was being introduced as a character. So we really did need those scenes where, he's looking in his apartment, setting up the hair between the doors just to see his master spy skills. And then
Going gambling.
yep. And then once we're 3 movies deep in Goldfinger, we get to see him just all out doing his thing. And it's entertaining.
When I think about it, it's almost like a little bit how The Dark Knight doesn't really do much about Bruce Wayne, but it's pretty like there's always consistently something happening. That's kind of how it feels a little bit.
Right.
Very entertaining stuff. Right. I enjoyed it. And I also watched Thunderball, and I liked it. I thought it was more like moody and more like had more atmosphere than Goldfinger, which I liked, but I felt like Goldfinger was, the script is good. I mean, it's just well laid out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is Goldfinger your favorite Sean Connery?
I think so. Movie? Yeah, I think so now, like looking back at it. I'll have to keep on watching them. With what's the Japanese one where he goes to like the volcano?
That is it's called You Only Live Twice.
You Only Live Twice. Yeah. I need to rewatch that. But yeah, I think Goldfinger is my favorite Sean Connery, and I think he is up there with my favorite James Bonds. Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig, and who's your favorite James Bond?
So it depends on what I'm in the mood for. I think if I want to watch, just a really good spy movie with, really good technical qualities and pretty solid script, I think I have to go with Daniel Craig. But if I want to watch my quote James Bond movie, man, for me it is Roger Moore.
Really?
Yeah, Roger Moore is so charming in the role. And I think with late Sean Connery, like after he left and George Lazenby filled in for him with his last movie, Diamonds Are Forever, into the first couple Roger Moore movies, we kind of like absolutely peaked with campiness, which is, something I enjoy from time to time.
Me too, man. Yeah. All about camp.
Yeah, love it.
Going to camp, having campy movies, campfire.
All the camping.
That's cool. I like Roger Moore as well. I haven't watched his movies in a long time. I feel like I got really into spy stuff when I was like in middle school, and I was reading a lot of spy stuff and watching a lot of the James Bond movies. And
Did you ever go to the International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C.?
I did, yeah. And certainly living in Virginia, we have our number of spies.
Yep.
Living
Langley
next door. Langley.
We got the NSA up here in Maryland, so
that's right. Yep. full of James Bonds. But yeah, what I was thinking was one of the big things for me. I mean, I could just remember as a kid growing up, and I couldn't get this game because I wasn't allowed to, was the GoldenEye video game.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which I could not play at my house because it's too violent, but I played at other people's house, and I can't watch, like, I played that first, and I can't watch the movie without being like, oh yeah, I remember that level. Or
yeah.
I
think that was one of like kind of the defining video games of our youth, like for people in our particular age range,
millennials.
GoldenEye is something that definitely stands out, and it's cool. I mean, you get to play as, different characters, not just from GoldenEye, but from the Sean Connery era, from the Roger Moore era. I can be Oddjob, I can be Jaws, So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That was the coolest. I mean, we didn't know who those characters were from the movies, so we got them all from the video game, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then later when we were able to watch the movies, we're like, oh, these are awesome.
What was the first James Bond movie you remember seeing?
I can't remember. It must
Okay.
have been a Sean Connery. Maybe it was Goldfinger. I don't know.
Nice.
I can't really remember. But it might very well have been a Roger Moore one. It might have been The Spy Who Loved Me. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I do know that when I was in middle school, like I just suddenly just watched a ton of them, and got really into them. And yeah, I don't remember. I do remember like when I was a kid, somebody turned on one of the Pierce Brosnan movies, and I didn't watch all of it. It might have been Goldeneye. But yeah, I'm not sure. How
Okay.
about you?
So I think one of the reasons I like Can't Be James Bond so much is nostalgia. Because the first one I ever saw was Diamonds Are Forever, which was the last
Oh
Sean
yeah,
Connery movie.
that's a goofy one.
Yeah, it is. It is incredibly goofy. There's like the fake Howard Hughes guy.
Hmm.
You know, everything going on. All the duplicate Blofelds. That
Yeah.
yeah. So I
There's like
rented
a
that.
tank chase scene, right? There's
It's
some sort of thing where he
a
gets in a
moon
tank.
buggy chase scene. It's not a tank chase scene.
Oh, yeah,
It's
that's
a
it.
moon buggy because he's on a film set and they're filming a moon landing,
Oh,
and he gets in the moon buggy and
oh
drives
man,
off. Yeah,
that would be
um,
good for those conspiracy theory nuts.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I rented that from the local library when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and on
Nice,
VHS, and that's the first one I ever saw.
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, what's your favorite Roger Moore?
My favorite Roger Moore is probably The Spy Who Loved Me.
I think so. I
Um,
think me too.
I
Yeah.
think I think kind of like Goldfinger is the quintessential Sean Connery James Bond movie. I
Hmm.
think The Spy Who Loved Me is the quintessential Roger Moore movie. It's probably the best crafted of all of his movies. I think as much as I love Roger Moore, as he progressed, because he stayed in the role for a very long time, they
Yeah.
got they got kind of they got kind of ridiculous to a bad point
Hmm.
in the mid '80s.
Right.
So
The one with Christopher Walken and
yep,
oh, what's her name? That one model. I remember in a second. I actually
yeah,
saw her in Barcelona one time.
really
Yeah. I
nice.
was like, oh, she's from James Bond.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah,
I
that movie's
remember her
called A
name.
View to a Kill.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. Um, yeah, let me check that really quick. That's gonna bother me.
yeah.
Uh, with Grace Jones. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I saw Grace Jones
that's funny.
in Barcelona. It
Nice.
was wild. I was
What
just
are
like,
your
hey.
what are your thoughts on Timothy Dalton as James Bond? Because I kind of think of two overall eras of James Bond movies. I kind of think of Sean Connery through Pierce Brosnan as one era, and then I think of the Daniel Craig era as kind of a rebooted era that takes a lot of
Mm-hmm.
insights from different spy genres and different films.
Yeah.
But Timothy Dalton was just kind of in the middle of that first era, and his movies were completely different from everything else in that time.
Yeah, I kind of think of him as like the 80s James Bond. Because Roger Moore is almost like the 70s, late early 80s James Bond, I think. And he's very goofy. And I feel like the Timothy Daltons were like a little more serious.
Yeah, they were a lot more
Um,
serious. Yeah,
there's like a marriage plot involved. Like he had some woman that he loved. It was like kind of like tragic. But I haven't seen those in a while. I like him as James Bond. The only thing I can think of with Timothy Dalton is him in Hot Fuzz.
right.
Uh, with he's like a grocery store villain.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
Timothy Dalton shows up sometimes in some things. I think he was in the Flash Gordon movie.
that's right.
He's in the Toy
Yeah,
Story sequels. Yeah, but
yeah, yeah. I think he's a good actor.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he's a bit underrated as a James Bond.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I think that I think that while George Lazenby was a little bit wooden as James Bond, I think that
Mm.
his movie On Her Majesty's Secret Service is so underrated. It's
Yeah.
it's one of the best movies of the 60s. It's
Tell me about that because I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things about it.
so it's very, very different from the Sean Connery James Bond movies. It's a lot more serious, which is fine. But there are like these awkward, campy moments in it, like when he breaks the fourth wall and
What?
stuff like that. Yeah, things just like it's like a pretty serious spy movie, like not like most James Bond movies from that time, but there are just like, and it's not pure camp either. It's just like there are these random moments where like these like incredibly goofy things will happen, like he breaks the fourth wall, or like he's acting undercover as a spy and he's just doing these outrageous accents. Yeah, and but then it really has a heart to it. I mean, this is the James Bond movie where he gets married, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
sorry, yeah, spoiler alerts.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean it's a movie from the 1960s, but yeah, still spoiler alerts.
You never know. These
Yeah,
movies are still alive.
yeah, you haven't seen it, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
And then more stuff ensues after that. Won't dive into it, but yeah.
Hey, is there a lot of skiing? I feel like there's a lot of skiing in that movie.
There is a lot of yeah, there's some skiing, there's some bobsledding.
Ooh.
Yeah. It takes place in the Alps, so it's a lot of winter sports.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a favorite Pierce Brosnan or Daniel Craig?
So I think probably my favorite Pierce Brosnan movie is GoldenEye. Kind of the way the video game stands out for millennials. I think GoldenEye the movie, to a lesser extent, but still to an extent, stands out for millennials as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a good movie. It's got a terrific villain. It's got one of the best villains in the entire series. It's got really incredible action sequences. That opening where he's on the dam. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's got some really great moments.
Yeah, and remind me of the name of the director is Martin Campbell, correct?
I think so. Yeah, that might have been the same director as Casino Royale.
Yeah, and it's the same director as Casino Royale. So he has made two very, very good James Bond movies.
Definitely.
Yeah, for Daniel Craig, I kind of go back and forth. If I just want to sit down and watch a movie, I'm going to watch Casino Royale. But if I want to watch like an action movie, I'll watch Skyfall.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I kind of feel like you can look at Casino Royale and Skyfall almost like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, and like not in a bad way, but like in kind of a good way. Like they kind of looked at that and were like, okay, we can kind of do something along those lines, because Skyfall kind of has like this villain that's very eccentric and destructive.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like big kind of lessons from it. It has a really wide scope. It's very, very serious.
You can definitely notice notes of The Dark Knight in Skyfall, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a text message. Yeah. I think, probably for me, I really enjoyed Is Tomorrow Never Dies the one with the media mogul?
It is. Yeah.
I like that one.
I like that one too. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of underrated. Jonathan Pryce plays the media mogul, Elliot Carver.
I love Jonathan Pryce.
He is. One thing about me as a moviegoer when it comes to action and spy movies is I love when the villain is just hamming it up and having a blast. It's a lot more fun to watch than like just some boring villain on the side. And Jonathan Pryce is vastly underrated in that sense. He is having so much fun with that role.
I think he's underrated in general. I mean, there's some really good stuff that he's done. Not to mention Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right. Yeah.
But in Brazil,
he's the the Two Popes.
That's right. That's right. Yep. That was a good one. Yeah, he's very underrated. I enjoyed that. I really do like Goldeneye. I haven't seen The World Is Not Enough. Seen bits of it, I guess.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
it's been some time since I've seen the last two Pierce Brosnan movies,
yeah,
Die Another Day and The World Is Not Enough.
that's right. Die Another
Yeah.
Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still need to watch that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the Daniel Craig's, except for Quantum of Solace and Spectre, which I thought were just kind of meh.
Yeah, Spectre is pretty okay.
Yeah.
Quantum of Solace is every so often I go back and re-rank the James Bond movies, and sometimes I just forget about Quantum of Solace.
Yeah.
It's not great, but that's okay. The theme song, the Bond theme
It's
song for the
dope.
movie is fantastic.
Alicia Keys and Jack White.
And Jack White, Another Way to Die. Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
One of the better James Bond songs for
Yeah.
sure. Other than To Live and Let Die. Okay. That's a
Yeah.
great James Bond song.
And Goldfinger, even Shirley Bassey
Yeah.
in the early days.
Mm-hmm. It's a goofy song, but it's so good.
Yeah, it's incredibly
So
goofy, but
goofy.
it's perfect for the time.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we've had some good James Bond songs. Now that I'm thinking about it. Live and Let Die is probably the best, but you got Skyfall back in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we kind of forget about it now, but back in 2012, Skyfall was a hit.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
Dell.
Yep.
Yeah, that was super good. And we have what's her face? Billie Eilish's new
Yes.
whatever this new James Bond, whenever it comes out.
Whenever it comes out.
No Time to
2025.
Die.
Yep.
Oh man. They'll just have to turn it into a video game so that we can all watch/play it.
Yeah, I want to know what happens in it. I want to know.
Me too.
I want to know who Rami Malek is. I want to know these things. And yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of suspense building up about that.
Yeah.
But another great spy franchise, which Sean Connery is involved in, is the Jack Ryan series, which we are both pretty big fans of.
I am a huge fan of the Jack Ryan series.
Yeah.
I am probably too big of a fan of the Jack Ryan series, but that's okay.
Nice. Yeah, you've read all the books, right?
I've read the books. I've seen the movies.
Did you watch all the show?
I haven't seen all the show yet, but
yeah.
I understand that either a new show or a new movie is coming out soon with Michael B. Jordan as
nice.
as John Clark, one of the side characters from.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's like the commando guy.
Yeah, he's like the Navy SEAL guy. Yeah, it's oh man, yeah, Jack Ryan, love the guy.
I really like the Jack Ryan series as well, especially I think Hunt for Red October with Sean Connery. I think for me it's the best book. I've only read Patriot Games, Hunt for October and Patriot Games. I haven't read Executive Order or any of the other ones. But yeah, I just think Hunt for October is like a really great book and a great movie.
It's a great book. It's a great movie. Sean Connery is in it as
He's fantastic.
As Marco Ramius, the Soviet submarine captain, whose intentions are brought into question throughout the entire movie. Yeah, Alec Baldwin actually is our first on-screen Jack Ryan, a young Alec Baldwin, and it is taut. It's directed by John McTiernan, who directed Die Hard. Yeah, I love The Hunt for Red October.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And the book is very good too. There's a lot of submarine facts in the book.
So many submarine facts.
But if you get past that, I mean, it's a really well-written thriller.
Yeah.
It's not ridiculous. It feels like something that could have happened. Could have very well happened. And yeah, it's fantastic. The movie is, as you said, it's great.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever related to a fictional character more than I've related to Jack Ryan. Like, I feel like I'm a slightly more boring Jack Ryan in my life, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jack Ryan is an interesting spot because he's not like James Bond. Like James Bond kind of goes between being like this really campy guy to being like this very like threatening person. I mean, you wouldn't want to hang out with James Bond,
Yeah.
really, or be his friend.
No, you wouldn't want to be James Bond's friend. Jack Ryan, on the other hand,
You would love to be a friend of Jack Ryan's.
he's a family man. He's smart. He's a good conversationalist. He you know, loves his kids, loves his country. What else? What else to good
Well,
say?
I think he knows kung fu in the TV show, but I don't
Does he
think
know-
that I don't
does he
think
know
it's in the
kung fu?
books. He like has a kung fu scene towards the end. It's like, oh, he knows kung fu. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. The more recent Jack Ryan movies, which we can talk about soon, have definitely made him more of a an action hero
For sure.
than the analyst spy that he's actually presented as in the novels and the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think in the first movie, in the first book, he's sort of an unlikely action hero, kind of like John McClane is in the first Die Hard movie.
Right.
Somebody who finds himself in the situation, and he certainly has a lot of asides that are similar in the movie to John McClane. He's like, "What am I doing here?" Or he's like, "I'm sick." Like, he
Mm,
just has all these quirky lines.
yeah.
And I like that about Jack Ryan, though.
Yeah. I think kind of the main difference, well, not the main difference, but one of the main differences between James Bond and Jack Ryan is that James Bond movies, they are about James Bond, but with Jack Ryan, he is one character in a broad pool of characters that are contributing to the mission. You know, you've got your John Clark, you've got your Admiral Greer, you've got I would argue that in the first the first one, The Hunt for Red October, he's not even the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, probably. I mean, in the movie, I don't know how much in the book, but Ramius is he's the big heavyweight.
Yeah, and
And
I think that might be kind of a billing thing, just because, you know, Alec Baldwin was up and coming at the time, and Sean Connery was, you know,
Sean Connery,
Sean
James
Connery.
Bond.
Yeah, but yeah, and then after that, after the success for The Hunt for Red October, they recast Alec Baldwin and got a pretty big name in there with Harrison Ford.
Oh yeah.
Going into Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger.
I like Patriot Games. Not a fan of Clear and Present Danger.
I agree 100%.
I find it super boring.
Yeah. Yeah. Patriot Games is good. It's another, Sean Bean shows up in it. It's kind of more personal than any of the other Jack Ryan movies. It's about, you know, him protecting his family and everything like that. And
I believe, is there like a jet ski chase scene at the end or something?
Yeah, yeah.
There's like a boat chase scene.
So I don't remember if this is the book or the movie, but yeah, they go along through the Chesapeake Bay from like Annapolis to Baltimore, and they're fighting on a boat, and Samuel L. Jackson shows up, helps out.
Is he in that movie?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
he's his friend Robbie Jackson, another great Tom Clancy side character.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
One nice thing about, for us at least, these with the Jack Ryan series is that it takes place in places that we've been. You and I personally also, because we're sons of Navy men.
We are.
And we've been to Annapolis, and you live in Maryland, I live in Virginia.
Yep.
These are places that are very familiar to us, and they're not like exotic locales, you know.
Right.
Like James Bond, for instance.
Yeah, that's why I was saying. That's why I felt like I could relate to him, because, you know, he was, you know, this fictional character. By the way, is, you know, we have the same first and middle name. We're both John Patricks. You know, he was born in Baltimore, lives in Annapolis. I was born in Annapolis. I live in Baltimore. We both have significant others who are healthcare professionals at Hopkins, econ majors at small liberal arts schools. Yeah, we've got. And Tom Clancy, prior to becoming a writer, was an insurance agent, and I'm an insurance agent. I I'm not
A lot
going to
of
say
parallels.
I'm not going to say my life was molded around this character, but it just happened. It's crazy, dude.
That's wild. When are you gonna change your name?
To Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to happen. It's going to no, it's not going to happen. It's just it is weird parallels, but yeah, that was an interesting tangent. But yeah, Clear and Present Danger, really boring.
Sucks.
Yeah,
The
so
worst.
boring.
I
Yeah,
haven't
the
like
worst Jack Ryan movie.
I haven't seen some of All Fears, and I watched the first episode of the Jack Ryan show, but I do have to say, what's it, Shadow Recruit?
Yeah, Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit.
It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
I like that too. Chris Pine is my favorite of the Hollywood Chris's, and
The Hollywood Chris's.
yeah, Hemsworth, Evans, Pine, and Pratt, and
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Geesh.
so many Chris's.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a fun movie. It's definitely, the first four of them, Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, and The Sum of All Fears. The Sum of All Fears has Ben Affleck in it, by the way.
Yeah.
Is Jack Ryan in that analyst role,
Mhm.
and then in this one he's an analyst for about 5 minutes, and then Kevin Costner comes and recruits him, and he is kicking ass the rest of the time.
Yeah, that's right. He just becomes like an assassin.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
And it's good because I'm a big Brana fan. We're both Brana fans.
Yes.
He directed it.
He played the villain.
Yep. Yeah. He's very similar to his role in Tenet.
Incredibly similar to his role.
Yeah. It was hard to separate that because I kept on thinking of his campiness in Shadow Recruit.
Right.
Yeah. And
right.
He is, for a serious Shakespeare actor, he can be pretty campy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
cool.
I think both of us agree that we really like Kenneth Branagh, and in every facet of what he does.
Yeah.
But
he seems like a pretty chill guy.
I think The Hunt for Red October is pretty universally regarded as the best Jack Ryan movie. In regards to the films themselves, the books are a whole nother story, but if that one was thrown out and you had to choose one of the other ones, which one would it be? Would it be?
I think Patriot Games, to be honest. Yeah, because it's still in that vein where Jack Ryan, because I haven't read the books either. But yeah, it's the best Harrison Ford Jack Ryan. And you still feel like he's still like down to earth, and he's not like a superhero yet or the president. Yeah, I think probably Patriot Games would be my other favorite of the movies.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Is Harrison Ford your favorite actor to portray Jack Ryan?
Definitely not. I think it's definitely Alec Baldwin.
Is it?
His performance in Hunt for October is pretty great.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that that's definitely the one that's most true to the novels, and I think that it's fun to go back and watch young Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so different from the Alec Baldwin of today.
Yeah, the Alec Baldwin of today, besides his Trump impressions, which he's going to be like so known for now. He's got his place in the Departed, where he's like this ridiculous Boston police chief.
Yeah.
He's different than his younger years, where he was kind of like a heartthrob, kind of like this,
seems like a very pleasant guy. Like, a really nice guy. Now he seems very hard to talk to.
Yeah, he plays a lot of rich villains all the time.
Yeah, yep.
All the time. From the Jim Carrey Fun with Dick and Jane to, I think he's one of the bosses in Mission Impossible, which is certainly a series we can talk about also. I almost forgot about.
How did I overlook Mission Impossible?
Gosh,
I love Mission Impossible.
Oh man, we should segue into that.
Yeah.
Or the Bourne series.
let's talk Bourne real quick, because I think you'll have a lot more insight on that than I do.
Yeah.
And then we'll dive into Mission Impossible.
Okay, because I
Yeah.
do have some interesting things to say about Mission Impossible. But yeah, Jason Bourne certainly, like, I got really sucked into that when it was coming out. And I think for the most part, I think the first movie is a great spy movie, and then the second and third are great action movies.
Okay.
And I think definitely the second one might be my favorite, but Ultimatum is pretty good. Um, and they're just well-made action films. I think I've read the books. The books are super different from the movies. Um, Almost not like they just took the name and the beginning of the plot and then kind of
Right.
their own way, which is totally
Right.
fine. I mean, I don't think book adaptation should be always just like the book.
Yep. And you can argue James Bond is like that too. I mean,
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
definitely,
for sure.
yeah. I've only read Casino Royale, but I mean, of course, it's super different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, I was never really able to get into the Bourne movies, to tell the truth. And I think it's largely Paul Greengrass's style, which a lot of people like. Personally, for me, I'm just not a fan of, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it didn't have. It's really clear that the Bourne movies had an impact on action movies going forward.
For sure.
That is very blatantly obvious, and for that I credit them. But when it comes to like revisiting the plot and stuff, I don't have a lot of insight because I don't really watch those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the second and third, I mean, the plot isn't a huge part of it. Like, it's mainly like somebody dies, and Born Supremacy, at least, the his wife, girlfriend, partner dies, and then the entire movie is just this kind of like revenge, like trying to solve the mystery type thing. And that's usually how those Supremacy and Ultimatum go about doing their thing. I can understand the qualms with Greengrass's style, because it's super shaky. I mean, he's the shaky cam king.
Yep.
But I think he's really good at creating like action sequences, which I thought is interesting. I mean, they're very well made chase sequences, especially in Ultimatum. Really good fight scenes. But it's interesting because he kind of like takes it from, I guess he used to be a news journalist. He used to work for BBC, maybe. I think.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and so a lot of his movies, they're either like something like United 93, which is a very well made, very realistic, almost documentary about 9/11. And then you have the Bourne movies, which are just pure action franchise. Yeah.
Now, did you ever see the two kind of sequels, the Bourne Legacy with Jeremy Renner and Jason Bourne?
Yes, and I have to say I'm a Bourne purist. I didn't really like the Bourne Legacy, or my parents really did, and I know a lot of people really liked the Bourne Legacy and Jason Bourne, but something about it just kind of I wasn't into it. I didn't dig it. Maybe I'm overborn.
Gotcha. Now, yeah, I do like how I do like Jeremy Renner though, and I do like how he just sometimes shows up in a franchise for a couple of movies, and you think the franchise is going to be about him going forward, and then he just disappears.
And he's out. He's got his own thing,
which he does in another spy franchise.
That's right.
Yeah,
in the Mission Impossible movies.
Yep.
Which we were totally not thinking about it, but now that we think about it, it's a big spy series. What's your favorite? What are your favorites? There's a lot.
There are a lot of good ones. I think for me, it's kind of interesting because there's only, and Mission Impossible are actually movies I watch pretty regularly. So I'm surprised that I forgot about them. But
yeah,
but the only one that's like really really not great is the second one.
Yeah.
It still has some cool set pieces. But I think my favorite one is either
Directed by
the
John
fourth
Woo.
or the fifth, Ghost Protocol or Rogue Nation.
Right. And
Yeah.
I am totally wow. I'm gonna like mix Fallout and Rogue Nation like in my mind.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I can remember like Rogue Nation, but I do remember Fallout.
Yeah.
And Fallout is pretty incredible. Uh
Oh, Fallout's a lot of fun.
yeah. Also, I think like it kind of shows you the development of Tom Cruise a little bit.
Yeah.
He's changed like over the years. Like I haven't seen the second one. I've seen every other one. But I was watching it on TV and I watched the end of Mission Impossible 2 and then I saw the beginning of Mission Impossible 3. And I don't know if you remember the beginning of Mission Impossible 3, but it's almost like seeing like a like America before and after 9/11.
Mm,
It's like he has like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 2 has like long hair and he like has his girlfriend. He's like, let's get lost. Like he just says that and that's the end of the movie.
right.
And then it went straight into Mission Impossible 3 and his like he's being tortured by Philip Seymour Hoffman or his wife is being tortured. I can't remember. But it was like, damn, it was like a
Right.
big
It
shift.
was a big transition. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Mission Impossible movies have, very different directors throughout the franchise. You've got Brian De Palma actually directed the first one.
I really love the first one. But I really love De Palma.
Yeah, and in the first one, he's Tom Cruise as a character is completely different than he is in the rest of the movies. He's kind of like Jack Ryan. He's, kind
Regular
of
guy.
regular guy, analyst. Ethan Hunt. I shouldn't call him Tom Cruise's character, Ethan Hunt.
We can just call him Tom Cruise. It's fine.
Yeah. And then in Mission Impossible 2, directed by John Woo, he is just an absolute
super action hero, right?
Like I think the first shot of him is him climbing up this rock wall without any ropes, and then he gets the mission in his sunglasses, throws them, they explode, and we get our opening credits.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's typical John Woo. Also.
Yep. Absolutely, doves.
Yeah.
We've got J.J. Abrams for the third one, and Brad Bird after. So.
Yeah, and Ghost Protocol is excellent. Yeah, Brad Bird. It's a well-made movie. Rogue Nation, I don't remember. But I remember like maybe it was Rogue Nation. Oh yeah. Rogue Nation had the thing where he was like on the side of the plane, right? That was like his stunt.
Yes, that was the big. Yes. So the recent ones have had big stunts, and Ghost Protocol had him on the side of the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah, the big building.
Yep, and
biggest building.
Yes, and Rogue Nation had him on the plane in the opening.
And then Fallout was the whole helicopter, hanging onto the helicopter. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, among other things.
Yep, and Christopher McQuarrie was the director of Fallout and Rogue Nation.
Right, director of Jack Reacher, which is
right
another interesting series.
Yeah, and it's probably because, to your point, I kind of have a hard time distinguishing between Rogue Nation and Fallout as well, and just remembering exactly what happened in those two movies.
Yeah,
that's actually the first time that a director has returned in the Mission Impossible franchise.
Yeah,
so kind of continuing his own story versus a bunch of very different directors in the first 4 movies kind of telling their own thing.
Yeah. Say what you will about, I mean, we both love Tom Cruise.
Yeah, we do.
But I mean, say what you will about him, about his beliefs, his behavior. But he is one of the, I think, only big stars to not really get, unless I'm missing something, not really get sucked into superheroes and not do like mini series, like TV shows.
Right.
And he's kind of like created his own thing.
Yeah, I heard that there was talk in the late 2000s of him playing Iron Man in the MCU, but I think
Yeah.
I'm glad
Could've-
that ultimately didn't end up happening. I'm glad Robert Downey Jr. is great in that role, and
Yeah, for sure.
and Tom Cruise is making really awesome standalone action movies in the Mission Impossible movies, and it's amazing that he's still doing it at 58. He does almost all of his own stunts, I think.
Yeah, he's a champ. I wouldn't wish for his life. I'm sure he just like eats protein bars every day and just like runs and does tons of push-ups and but I mean, good for him. I mean, he's what do you think about his stunts? I mean, he's got some
his stunts are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think as he's gotten older, that's been one of the big things that he does is he's starting to do his own stunts.
Right. And I think it's really cool. I don't, when I go into a movie, I don't look and like try to analyze and be like, oh, that's a stunt double doing that, and oh, that's the actor doing that. But I do think that, it is very, very cool that, he is doing these things, and he's running far. He's
running so much.
He's holding his breath for minutes at a time. He's doing insane motorcycle jumps. He's scaling buildings. Just kudos. Good for him.
Yeah. What's your you said what your favorite was, right? Did I miss that?
I don't. I think I said I liked. I like Ghost Protocol, which is the Brad Bird one, and Fallout and Rogue Nation and Fallout. I like the last three a lot.
Yeah, the last three have been interesting because they've been really good. Well, Brad Bird is a really good director, and he started to do his more of his stunts. I still love the first one, just for like the classic De Palma stuff. It's a really well stylized film.
Yeah.
But I do have to say I do like these latest ones.
Mm-hmm.
They're super good.
And I think Alec Baldwin's in them, isn't he? Yeah, Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, he's in the
Alec
latest
Baldwin
ones.
shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Renner shows up.
We're making connections.
Yeah, all sorts of connections. Yeah, it's and I know we've talked about this. I know Henry Cavill isn't probably our favorite actor, but he is a lot of fun. Like, the way he's just like bombastic in the last one.
Oh yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Henry Cavill. I mean, I haven't seen anything that I like with him yet, so that's just it. But I felt like, coming out of Fallout, I remember being like, man, like Tom Cruise is such a better actor than Henry Cavill. But I mean, he still holds his own in it, and a lot of the movie is like their banter with each other, which is pretty good. But Tom Cruise has got, of course, way more experience and credentials as like somebody who can be funny, he can be athletic, he can be emotional, he can go to these places pretty easily.
Right.
But good series. One other I guess spy thing we haven't talked about, which I'm a big fan of, is the John le Carré movies.
Yes.
Like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy,
A Most Wanted Man.
Wanted Man, that's right.
Yep.
Yes. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's a great one. I
think that was Philip Seymour Hoffman's last film role.
Yeah, and that was devastating. I think we went to go see that, and that was like that year where like Robin Williams died.
We did. I actually walked out of the theater and I got a push notification on my phone while we were watching it that Robin Williams had died. And that movie's dense. It's heavy. So that was just kind of that was just kind of a downer. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but those are fantastic books and movies. The Spy Who Came In from the Cold, um, the Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy movie with Gary Oldman,
Mhm.
certainly very good. I have a hard time following the plot, but I think that's kind of a part of it.
Which what do you think is the best adaptation?
I think it's between The Spy Who Came In from the Cold and A Most Wanted Man, because I totally forgot about that movie. That movie is fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, but it is a lot. I mean, it's not like, you know, a lot of the spy movies that we've talked about are very light entertainment, but John Le Carre is like the guy, the um the guy you would go to have the very serious but entertaining spy movies.
Right. Yeah, I think it's kind of it's definitely a denser sorry, I don't know if you're hearing that on my end, but yeah, it's definitely a denser kind of spy film where you've got aspects of the government involved in a very real sense. You've got
Lots of politics.
yeah, tons of politics and everything like that. And versus the Bourne movies are largely action films. The James Bond movies are largely one man on a solo mission. So it's a very different kind of spy movie, and it's one that I think you could put a lot of James Bond movies on in the background and just watch them. But I think for me, when I watch a John le Carre movie, and I don't watch them very often, but I have seen Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and I have seen A Most Wanted Man multiple times. I have to go in there and I have to sit down and focus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. You can't really jump into them and know what's going on with those movies. But I have to say, spy movies are some of my favorite movies. Even my favorite movie of all time, The Third Man, is kind of a spy movie.
yep.
It's almost like the first spy movie.
Yeah, it kind of it's
First
kind
Cold
of
War movie.
perfect for the noir genre.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect broader theme to fit into the noir genre, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So if you had to say what your top 3 spy movies are, now that we've kind of gone through, what would you say?
So am I thinking like watching a spy and being like, this is what a spy would do? Or am I thinking like, which of these 3 movies do I want to watch?
Which ones do you want to watch?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then I would have to go with The Spy Who Loved Me,
Oh yeah.
The Hunt for Red October,
Yeah.
and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
Nice. Well, I would probably say, thinking about our list, I would probably watch, probably watch Casino Royale. We haven't mentioned that, but I really like Casino Royale. The first Mission Impossible.
I do like Casino Royale.
And maybe GoldenEye, because
yeah,
nostalgic factor.
Yeah, but I think kind of the main thing is, if you want to watch a spy movie, there are so many different types out there based on so many different moods that you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the action, you can get the gadgetry, you can get the camp, you can get the seriousness. It's all there. So
the romance, the
romance,
intrigue.
Yeah, the espionage.
Yeah. And certainly another person we haven't talked about, but a lot of Hitchcock movies.
Oh my gosh. Movies. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep. North by Northwest.
Yep.
Notorious. Yeah.
North by Northwest is a classic.
Yeah. Super fun. Yeah.
Rear Window is a different kind of spy movie.
Yeah. It's like a creepy spy.
Creepy spy. Very creepy spy.
Yeah. Spy who doesn't have it's not his job to spy. He's just doing it.
He's just doing it.
He's a creep.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hitchcock is great. And I mean, not all his movies are pretty serious, but they're very campy
Oh my
also.
gosh, yeah. I think
Super
sometimes
campy.
we another tangent, but I think sometimes like we glorify Alfred Hitchcock as we should because he's amazing. He makes incredibly amazing movies, but we forget that his movies are kind of fun too. Like
Yeah,
he
super
made
goofy.
he made The Birds for goodness
Yeah.
sake. Yeah,
Which there's no music in the birds, even though
I
it's like
is that
about
true?
birds attacking humanity.
Right.
Well, anyway, I think we did a pretty good job at talking about the spy genre. I think we covered all the bases.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was fun, man. Hopefully this live feed went well. I can't tell if it's working.
Yep.
Oh,
We'll find out soon.
cool. Well, that concludes another episode of Movie Mood. Uh, yeah. Check in next time and we'll be talking more movies.
All right. Stay well.
Yeah. Ciao.